Hello and welcome to PopFlash. I'm Jack Westerman, he's Jason Moses O'Toole, and this is the week in Counter-Strike. Our first story this week is the PGL Season 1 LAN Finals, which took place over the weekend of October 2nd in Bucharest, Romania. Now, there were 8 European teams and 4 North American teams competing throughout the online season for just 4 spots at the LAN Finals, and of course there was $75,000 up for grabs as well. So, Jason, let's start things off by taking a look at the upper bracket, and I think the thing I want to talk about first here is Team Fnatic down there in third in the rundown there. So Fnatic went 0 for 2 against TSM and actually finished up in the whole tournament. They came third overall, 3rd out of 4. 4 of 5 Fnatic players went minus on their kill death ratio in this game versus TSM, and Olaf, Flusher and Pronax all had sub 0.9 ratings. It kind of feels like Fnatic, the slump is just continuing for them at this point, right, Jason?
Yeah, a little bit, and I think it'd be interesting to see the last time that Fnatic had 4 or 5 players going negative in the kill death over a series. But I mean, that's part of it is this has been brought up. I think Thorin originally brought it up a few months ago that we had seen some cracks in Fnatic preceding the major. We had seen them start to deteriorate and not be as dominant, and it was masked. It was heavily masked by how good Olaf was playing, being the best player in the world for so long. Yeah. He was just beasting, and that was really hiding some of the issues they had. And now they go back to Flusha was calling at this event. They struggle as individuals, so now that they don't have that stellar individual performance, and TSM on the other hand, their individual performances have been amazing lately. Device really coming into his own, Zipnik's playing very, very well recently, all of them stepping up. So no surprise that it was a 2-0, but just it's surprising that Fnatic, just this trend keeps up.
All right, well, let's move on and talk about the sole North American team in Romania now, who, of course, were Team Liquid. And as we can see here in the group stage, or the bracket stage, sorry, they did lose 0-2 to Virtus.pro in their very first game, but I think it's fair to say that it was a bit closer than it looked. They got a 16-4 result on Overpass, 14-16, sorry, and lost 16-9 on Mirage, but then they dropped to lower bracket and took a map off Fnatic, which is no mean feat for a North American team especially. What are your thoughts? Are Liquid on the upswing, Jason, and where would you put them in North America's standings at the moment?
Yeah, they're definitely on the upswing. I mean, bringing in Hiko, he was a force for them, and they're just going to continue building off that. Some good early success. They're probably 2nd or 3rd in North America, kind of with CLG. We haven't seen them enough, especially head-to-head against CLG at tournaments. So a little bit tough to say there. I mean, my only issue is this is a Team Liquid. This core of 4 outside of Hiko has been together for so long. They've had massive organizational support for a long time. They've been going to Gfinities. You gotta at a certain point, like for me personally, I'm just done giving them moral victories. They've got to start producing results. They've got to start winning best of 3s. Even with this recent roster change, I just expect more out of them. So it's nice that they won a map. It's nice that they played Virtus.pro close, but I mean, I'm not giving them any handouts anymore.
Nice, but not nice enough. Moses is playing hardball here.
It's it's time. It's time now.
All right. Well, of course, Liquid did get eliminated there in that lower bracket game. And if we have a look at the rest of this bracket, we'll see that Virtus.pro eliminated Fnatic again, perhaps a bit of a surprise. And in the grand final, it was TSM versus Virtus.pro, which TSM won 3-0, but they did start with a 1-map advantage. Let's talk about TSM a little bit, Jason. So we've mentioned that Fnatic are slumping, TSM are playing relatively well. How close are these two teams, number 1 and number 2 in the world right now? What's the difference?
Now, just over like the past couple weeks or past month, that you'd say TSM is very, very far ahead because they've just been crushing it right now. Now, if Fnatic has been so good all year and so many talented players, you can't really dictate that before, we have this upcoming major coming up, so why even try before this major? We'll see what happens there. Yeah. The big thing is just TSM is playing so incredibly well, both individually and as a team. You can see it Device has been just consistently star power. Zipnix has been playing really, really well. Virtus Pro, I mean, their biggest issue this tournament is they've got to have, Taz has been playing so well, but they need Bialy to show up along with Snacks. I mean, those are the two big heavy hitters. So Bialy had a rough map, especially on Overpass. He had a very poor performance in the first half. I'd say there's more worrying trends about Virtus Pro still, not being able to reach this peak consistently enough to really give them any high hopes heading into the major.
So, Jason, in that case, last question. What was the highlight of this tournament for you? Of all these results, what stands out the most?
TSM winning an event. TSM just making it, they have so many events where they get to the finals and either lose or lose in the semifinals. For them to be, getting there. And I think I mentioned it a week or two ago in an episode where they just won. They beat Envy in that online. I forget, was that Counterpit? I think they beat them in online.
I think
and
so.
It was like that could be the starting point, because sometimes all you need is to win that one. You get over that hump, and then you get that weight off your shoulders, and then you can start playing really, really well going forward. And that's kind of what we're seeing out of TSM right now. I think as of this moment, they're on a 17 map win streak. Online and LAN combined. Like, they've won 17 maps straight, so
nice.
they're just crushing it at the moment. They didn't lose a map this entire tournament, and that's what's scary. They won the original season of PGL, the last season of PGL, the kickoff league, the kickoff season. So maybe Romania is just their thing, which bodes really, really well for Cluj.
Our second story this week is the ESEA ESL Pro League, which of course is in the middle of Season 2. Now, this is a $500,000 league which takes place initially online, but then of course will culminate in LAN finals in California this December. Jason, let's kick things off with a look at the European standings so far. So, as we can see, there are a few potentially surprising things here. Virtus Pro down in 9th place, Na'Vi up there at number 1, and actually Cadian's team, SK Gaming, down there at 0 for 8 at the very bottom. And they're not forfeit losses. Every single one of those games has been played out. They're kind of the things that stand out to me, Jason. Looking at this, and obviously the standings will change as the season progresses, but what stands out here for you so far?
Na'Vi at number 1 stands out. Like, I was pretty much the same. Virtus Pro down at number 9. I mean, that's just something I would imagine Virtus Pro is going to rise up those a little bit. But we saw the first season of Pro League. NIP, I mean, they got off to a really, really slow start and had like a good 9-match run in the middle of the season, but it wasn't enough. And especially in Europe, where the talent is so stacked across all these teams, starting out that slow, we might see Virtus Pro miss the finals here if they don't step it up soon. But Na'Vi going out to 5-1 is huge for them. Fnatic going 5-2, throughout this little mini slump they're going through, for them to be up there in 2nd place, and also their round differential is insane, like 106 rounds for, 176 rounds against. I mean, they've just been crushing teams, so that's good for them. If they're going to continue to slump, it's really good that they've gotten out to this hot start. I'd also expect, I'm really curious to see Hellraisers just have those 2 new additions, so I'm really interested to see how the rest of their season plays out as well.
All right, well, last but not least then, let's take a look at the North American side of Pro League, and things are a little bit more stable over here. As you might expect, we can see Cloud9 and CLG up there in the top 3, but some of the teams we might expect, Luminosity, perhaps Winter Fox, playing really badly actually down there, already got 3 losses on the board. Again, Jason, what stands out for you here on the North American side of things?
Complexity at top right now, and I think that'll even itself out because they've played 9 matches. Cloud9's played 6, CLG's played 4, so teams will start catching up to that match count, and that might shuffle just a little bit, but they're off to a good start, especially for a new roster. Luminosity has only played 4 matches, they'll catch up. Liquid's only played 2 matches, they're going to catch up, so it's kind of hard to say with all these teams so spread out in the amount of games they've actually played. The thing about Winter Fox, and it's really unfortunate because I thought they had a decent first showing as a lineup in Stockholm. They still have 3 members playing over in Europe. I'm sure a lot of people have followed that story. It's still Pitt and Devil Walker playing from Sweden. XP3 is playing from France. So they've had a really, really tough time these past couple weeks, not only in this league, but also in SIVO and everything like that, because they're having some visa issues. But this is kind of what's scary to me is with Complexity out at the top right now. Liquid with only 2 wins, while they have a lot of matches to catch up, they can't afford to drop the ball. They've got to catch up really, really quickly. Luminosity, same goes for them, and they haven't looked that great in Pro League so far. They've dropped some matches, and they've had some close matches that in those 2-2 start that you're just kind of like, all right, at some point that just can't happen if they want to catch up to these top teams. So Cloud9 is going to cement themselves up at the top for sure one more time.
Last but not least, I've got some quickfire questions for you, Jason. So, quick as you can, give me your thoughts on the following news stories from the week. First of all, Hellraisers have refreshed their lineup and signed Oscar and Styko to the team.
Yeah, I'm really, really interested to see how this works out. Actually, I don't know too much about either of these players. I know Oscar has kind of been discovered in the European scene through the Face It Pro League, that Pug League they have.
Yeah.
And actually, Olaf Meister has came out and said that he's a really, really good player. JW's come out in support of Oscar as well. So there's some big name players who have high hopes for Oscar. And he's one of those guys that it's just going to be really cool to see how he develops into this Pug star that he seems to be right now into a full-time player. So high hopes for that team now.
And lastly this week, the eFrag World Championships take place this weekend. And Jason, this is a pretty interesting tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, more interesting than the tournament perhaps is some of the lineups that have been announced. We have up there on the board Canada and the United States. These are lineups that are missing a lot of obviously big name players. For Canada, you expect to see like Shroud up there. United States doesn't have nothing, doesn't have Skadoodle, anything like that.
Yeah.
Cloud9's playing in the tournament in Australia this weekend, so that's why they're not going. I think Liquid members just decided to forego it because they want more practice together for the major. Virtus Pro likewise is also going to Australia, so they're not part of the Poland lineup. And even like Sweden is a really interesting lineup. It's Pronax, Exist, Pit, Pauf, and Devilwalk. And right off the bat, you have like three names, Prodax, Zist, and Devilwalk, who you kind of consider in-game leaders. You can go either way with Devilwalk, but that'll be interesting to see how they do it, because this would be a tournament for those three to just be like, screw it, we're just not even going to worry about in-game leading. This is a pug, let's just frag out. So this is kind of a chance for them to show off. But either way, Group C and D. Group C is going to be really tough for ESEA to get out of, going against France, who I expect to win the tournament, and Poland, who has some really, really good tier 2 players in that lineup. And then Canada might be able to get out. Belgium's going to give them a tough time. Norway might give them a tough time. So both of these teams from North America might just get knocked out immediately.
That's it for this week. I'm Jack Westerman, joined by Jason Moses O'Toole.
And we'll be back next Wednesday with another episode of PopFlash.